Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how broken my Miirym commander deck is. So this thing is seriously overpowered. I've only ever lost once in commander format with it, and I've done dozens of tournaments. Like literally I've lost one game. So anyway, we are going to be looking at an ideal setup, and by ideal I mean like literally the only like way the player could survive until like now is if they literally had 1,000 life. So we'll pretend they're playing like super ultra white life gain or something, and they have 1,000 life here. So first of all, 13 lands here. We have Haven of the Spirit Dragon, and then two green and blue, two blue and red, two red and green, and then just 6 basic lands. And then here are some of the enchantments in the deck. So we have Crucible of Fire, dragon creatures you control get +3/+3. Sight of the Scale Lords, at the beginning of combat in your turn, creatures you control with toughness 4 or greater get +2/+2 and gain vigilance until end of turn. Dragon Tempest, whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, it gains haste until end of turn. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to target creature or player, where X is the number of dragons you control. Fervor, creatures you control have haste. And then a Coilite of Bahamut. Commander creatures you own have the first dragon spell you cast each turn cost 2 less to cast. So the first thing you do, let's pretend that we don't have anything like, I don't know, some of these would be cast gradually as I'm casting other things, but for the heck of it, we'll just pretend all these are starting out. So first thing to do, cast Surik Dragonclaw. So Flash, Surik Dragonclaw can't be countered. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Other creatures you control have trample. So get him out. Then the next turn, you get Miirym, which is the commander, and Flying Ward 2. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it, except the token isn't legendary if that dragon is legendary. And he's 6/6. So now we have an additional +3/+3, so that's a 9/9. This brings it up to an 11/11 with vigilance when it attacks. And it, of course, gets haste from this, deals 1 damage when it enters to any target from this. And that is double haste. I mean, that doesn't do anything. And it would have cost 2 less to cast anyway. Then the next thing you would do is 4 mana. You could have it fight a creature by paying an extra red and green, or you could just cast it like 2 green and 2 blue, or 2 red and 2 blue, or 4 blue. It doesn't matter if you don't want it to fight something, but it's big enough that it's probably going to kill anything it fights anyway. And if not, well, just don't have it fight by not spending that mana. Anyway, so what this does, you can clone Miirym. Now here's the thing, Miirym is legendary. This doesn't make it non-legendary. So what happens here is it gets you 2 copies of Miirym. So you have 2, but you have to choose one to keep. The other one goes away. So you choose to keep the original. Now there is only 1 Miirym. Now when they both entered, like when the copy entered, you had 2 of them out, which makes another 2 from him, and they are non-legendary. So now you have 3 Miiryms, 2 of which are tokens, and 1 of which is the original that is legendary. The other 2 are non-legendary. So now you have 3 Miiryms. And then next you would cast, and of course you also have haste. Of course, next you'd cast Lozhan, Dragon's Legacy. Flying, whenever you cast an adventure spell or dragon spell, it deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target that isn't a commander. Now here's the thing, you cast it, but you 3 Miiryms. So now, ooh look, you have 4 Lozhans with haste, and of course Dragon Crucible and Sight of the Scale Lords. So basically, with these 2, now you have, let's see, that is a 9/7. So you have 4 9/7s and 3 11/11s. And of course you'd be attacking this whole time. Following turn, like I say, the opponent's literally unkillable for now because they have like 1,000 life. Following turn, you cast Thrakis the Butcher. And then you would cast the same turn Savage Ventmaw. And so when Thrakis enters, it deals 5 mana 4 times. So that's 20 damage from its mana cost from Lozhan. And so you have 4 Thrakus the Butchers. Savage Ventmaw enters. That's 7 damage 4 times. And then you have 4 Savage Ventmaws. They all have haste, and they're all 9/9s. And these are 8/8. Well, 8/8. And attack with those. Now, when Thrakus the Butcher attacks, double each dragon you control until end of turn. So you have 4 of them. It's not giving them double strike. It's straight up doubling their power. So it's essentially taking a guy that's a well, we'll just use Savage Ventmaw as an example. So that is a 9/9, and then double once is 18. Double again is 36. Double again is 72. And double again is 144. So anyway, I hope I did that math right. Anyway, that's overpowered as it is, and that's each one of these gets quadruple the power. I mean, 8 times the power. Wait, am I doing that right? Double, quadruple, times 8. Okay, times 16. So they all get times 16 their power other than him because he's not a dragon. Then player's still not dead, even though by now, if they had 1,000 life, they might actually be dead. Following turn, you cast probably you would want a Tarka World Render, Flying Trample. Whenever dragon you control attacks against double strike until end of turn. So now you take this 174, 174, and give it double strike. And of course, all of them get double strike except for Surak. And then you would get Scanos. So he gets +X until end of turn when he attacks, where X is the greatest power among other dragons you control. So massive. And of course, his background is this. And then you have, just for the fun of it, the Wrathful Red Dragon. Whenever dragon you control is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target that isn't a dragon. So if it takes damage, you can just straight up hit the opponent. Now remember, we have 4 Tarkas. Now this doesn't do anything extra because you can't get double strike. You can double the power though with Thrakus, but you can't get double strike. So that just happens once, but you still have 4 of them. You have 4 Scanos Dragon Hearts, and you have 4 Wrathful Red Dragons. Now you have to remember, when these 3 entered, you'd be doing 7 times 4, 5 times 4, and 5 times 4 from Lozhan to the target. Then on your final turn, before the 1,000 health guy's head, honestly, I think this is more than 1,000 damage guys, but we'll pretend they're still alive. Dragon Lord Atarka, which when it enters, it does 7 damage times 4 just from the mana cost, and an additional 5 4 times because you have 4 Atarkas. So that's destructive. And you have to remember down here, Dragon Tempest, every time a dragon enters, it deals X damage, where X is the number of dragons. So as we're doing this, first of all, it triggers 4 times because we have 4 of these entering. So if we have this, we'll start with 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 25, 26, 27. So that's 27 damage when this enters, and then, well, 28, and then 29, then 30, then 31 for the 4th copy. So it's just literally so much damage. And then let's say they're not dead. Finally, we cast Earthquake Dragon, which there's 4 of them. And that's 60 damage just from the casting cost. So then we have to calculate all of this. So once again, everything is +3/+3, another +2/+2 in vigilance. Everything is dealing damage as it enters, although I'm just going to disregard that and just do the exact damage from an attack. Of course, everything is haste, more haste, cheaper, whatever. And then we have damage from creatures entering ×4. 16 times the damage of each one attacking. And then we have this mana, which can cast those things when it attacks. Double strike on the 16 times, so it's then goes up to 32 times. And then this guy, we have 4 of them that get plus, like, what was that? It was like 104, 130, whatever, something. I'll calculate that in a bit. But anyway, this guy, and then he does not have trample. However, this guy gives everything trample. This one is also not flying. And yes, they could be destroyed. Yes, they could be exiled. But like I say, you don't even need to attack with these. Just casting them will do the sheer amount of damage required to kill any player. And of course, you can't counter them until this guy gets killed. Plus, I also have Rhythm of the Wild in the deck, so that's another way to prevent the creatures from being countered. But anyway, the point is, you don't even need to attack. Like, don't worry about Settle the Wreckage. Don't worry about Teferi's Protection, all that BS. Literally, you're covered just by casting dragons and dealing straight up damage. So who cares if you lose a few of them? Like, you got a lot of them, and a single one of these can one-shot the player no matter how much health they have. But instead, you have all of this. So now let's get into calculating. Okay, so I just ran through everything. So we have 3 Miiryms for 33 damage total, because we have the normal 6 plus 3 plus 2, and then 3 of them. So that brings us to 33, and that's what all these numbers are, the first number. Then next we have, after multiplied by 16 for the Thrakkus damage. Then after that we have, after we give all 4 of those double strikes, so just multiplying this by 2, giving it the third number. This number is the largest power, which is the Earthquake Dragon, without the like just a singular Earthquake Dragon. Each all 4 of them are 240 240s, of course, with the double strike and everything. So that extra power gets added on a Skanos. So then we have oh, I might have actually done that wrong. We have 4 of these, so that would actually be even more, because instead of just 240, we have 4 Scanoses. So give me a second. Okay, so there we go, 960, and then I subtracted 240 since I already calculated that in. So our final, and of course Surak only gets 8 because he gets +2 for the Sight of the Scale Lords. So he only goes 8 all the way through, so not too helpful, other than giving everything trample and making it so my creatures can't be countered. And so anyway, subtracting the 240 from the 960, and then adding that back to our total, we get 12,776 damage from 1 turn of creatures attacking. Of course, all the previous turns there'd be more and more attacks, so this is looking like, I don't know, around like at least 15,000, I mean not 15, at least like 100,000 damage of like turns of attacks just from like just until this point. Of course, I don't know what the highest life total on a player was, but like there's no way they could survive constant attacks like this. Then we calculated the mana costs. So we have 4 of Lozhan. So this is the cost of each dragon I played after Lozhan, times 4, since there's 4 Lozhans. So we have 200 damage being dealt just from casting costs, plus another 20 from Dragonlord Atarka times 4, doing that 5. So that's 20, equals 220 from casting costs. Then we have 630 from the Dragon Tempest, just multiplying. So we have 1 damage, 2 damage, 3 damage, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And of course, these are all multiplying. So it's like 12 plus 13 plus 14 plus 15 to all those, plus 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So that's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, all the way to 35, which gets us 630. So we add that to the 220, that's 850 damage from casting costs and the Dragon's Tempest, which then you add it to the other number, and you end up with 13,626 damage in the final turn, like all that added up. But of course, there's going to be attacking going on throughout this. So the player would be long dead before then, and it's a whole lot more work to calculate what would have come out what turn and what's attacking when. But the point is, they're dead. And so it's a pretty epic deck. Miirym is extremely useful. And of course, there are other cards that give everything indestructible, or things that give them, like, I don't have it, but I'm wanting to add Vivian Reed into this deck. And that would, with the ultimate, that would give my creatures +2/+2 vigilance, trample, and indestructible, if I remember correctly. So that'd be a nice one. Of course, like, the only thing that protects them from is like kill spells, because they're already so big that no creature's going to kill them unless it has death touch. But that doesn't matter because they just trample over it. So, and then of course, there are like exile spells and get rid of them. Of course, settle the wreckage, things that prevent damage, etc. But you don't need any of that because you don't even need to attack. You just cast your dragons, and they only have 40 life in a commander tournament, so they're dead. Even if they're gaining life, you're still doing, like, this is just some of my dragons. Like, I have a whole lot more in the deck. This is just a few of them. So just these plus the commander. So definitely dead. This is a super messed up combo. And of course, if you have this guy or Rhythm of the Wild, all that stuff, you can get around counter decks, stuff like that. So there's a lot of ways to beat other decks. And like I say, I've only lost once, and it was with a bad hand against an Dragon deck. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.